Good morning, everyone. I am on time for once, and I think that's kind of amazing. Today is Casing Tuesday, and that's the day when we take a card out of the catalog and give it a makeover. So today's card, let's take a look at it. Let's see right here. Let's have a look at today's card. So today's card has a lot of different layers. And for some people like me, I'm very excited when I see lots of different layers because I think, oh my gosh, I have lots of little places where I can plug in whatever I want to do. It's basically a guide map for me to do whatever I want. Other people might see this and think, oh my gosh, there's so many layers. It's so overwhelming. So you might fall somewhere in between on that scale. I'm going to show you how you can simplify this layout and make it a little bit easier for you. And I'll also give you some suggestions on what to do if you want to create this card and you don't want to have to do a whole bunch of different little images to plug into it. Good morning to everyone who's joined me. I'm so early this morning that a lot of you are probably going, wow, she's like right on time, not like usual, or not like I've been in the last few months. One of the reasons I'm on time this morning is I think my flooring guy is coming today to finish off the flooring in the master bedroom. And he's supposed to be coming at 11. So I want to be done here by 11 and so that I can let him in and we can have a conversation before he starts working. So I'm very excited about that because if he does come today, then we are on track to be moving back into the bedroom on the weekend, which will be perfect timing for when our son comes for Thanksgiving. So I'm truly very excited about that. So anyway, let's have a look at the sketch too. I have totally digressed. Good morning to everyone who's joining me. Let's have a look at the sketch. Here it is. So Yolanda has measured all those different layers for us so that you can know what the layers are. Now just keep in mind, you can change these around, and I certainly did. This die set here, I think it's called the postage stamp dies, and they're a great die set, but I do not own this die set. So, for me, this would be I couldn't recreate this card exactly. If you own the die set, then you can have a lot of fun and play with it and create this. I think this little layer right here with the little teeny tiny pumpkin on it, I think that layer was cut down from a bigger rectangle because notice it doesn't have the edges all the way around. So I did a little something different, but that is the cool thing about when you're doing this Casing Tuesday is you can absolutely change things around. So let's take a look at my card. I've went very simple today, and I'm going to show you a couple things I did to kind of create this this card. I really love how this turned out. Now this might be too plain for you, but I love this. I had a lot of fun coloring all the little images, and I'm going to show you how I made this, but it is very cute. And notice how I simplified my layers. See, they have like 5 little layers for the images, and I reduced mine down to 4. It looks a little less cluttered, which is a style choice, right? Everyone can have their style choice, and I liked a little bit cleaner of a look. So that way, these layers, I think the way I have cut them are more conducive to having different images pop in there. So I had to look at my stamp sets and find something that would work. And so I used the So Very Merry stamp set. Now, if you've never seen this stamp set in a catalog, there's a good reason. It was an online exclusive that came out last year, and I didn't get a chance to use it. And I need to run over, I just remembered now, I need to run over to my other studio real quick at the end and remind you I made a very sweet little circle box with this stamp set. earlier in the season this year. So I want to remind you about that. I'm also using Happy Little Things because it's got a nice long celebrate greeting that I can use to go in that area. It's kind of important for this card, the way it's laid out, to have that long area to put a greeting in. You could also do this card without doing a greeting. You could extend some of these layers and then you could put a greeting in one of the rectangles. So that's another option for you. All right, I actually got some cards sent to me this week, but I'm not going to share them with you today because my birthday is later this week. It's on Friday, and I don't want to open up my birthday cards until it's my birthday. So if I have time on Friday, I will open up my birthday cards live on camera. And normally I do it on Tuesdays because we have a bit more time. So I suspect all the cards that I have are birthday cards. They might not be, but because I haven't opened them yet. So I'm just going to wait until Friday to open them this week. So I don't have anything to show you today. So, but we will move on, and I'm going to show you how I made this card today. It's going to be fun. I really like this one. Okay, let me switch over. Let me move my microphone just a teeny tiny bit. I already told you about the stamp sets I used. And then I used a lot of Stampin' Blends. So to start off with, I started just with a thick basic white card base. And it's 11 inches by 4 1/4. And I scored in half at the 5 1/2 inch mark. Then I always use my bone folder to help keep my card flat. And then I cut a bunch of layers that would be for my card. And I tried to work out my layers first in conjunction with the images that I had. So I kind of looked at my images. I started off with this one and I measured what size square I would need for this one. And then that one, then I came over to here and I just made sure I had the right amount. So you might need to fudge a little bit depending on your images. But I'll tell you what I used for mine. This one right here up top was a 1 1/2 by 1 1/2 inch square. This one right here is a 2 1/4 by 1 1/2 inch piece. Then we have this one right here, which is a 2 1/2 by 2 3/4 inch piece. And then finally, this layer here is a 1 1/2 inch by 2 3/4 inch piece. So here are all my layers. Again, 1 1/2 by 1 1/2, 2 1/4 by 1 1/2, 2 1/4 by 2 3/4, and 1 1/2 by 2 3/4. And I have these measurements on my blog. So if you look down below in the see more area, you will be able to see more. Okay, I am going to grab my images from the stamp set. And I'm going to use Tuxedo Black to stamp all of my images. So I'm going to grab this one right here. And this is the little bells. So I'm going to add this just kind of to the center. And then I'm going to do the little bird. And then I'm going to I'll do this one next. So for this one on the block D, I mounted both the house, the gingerbread house, and a greeting. So I did both on one block just to make it easier for myself. That way I could see the layout beforehand. So then I can ink them both up at the same time. And let's let's get this on here. Like that. And then finally, we've got this little branch now. I needed to, you can see, got a hair on here. You can see how I needed a long skinny image and I didn't have one. So I just took my little leaf here and I started up at the top and I just stamped it all the way down to give myself a long skinny image. So sometimes you can take a little image and repeat stamp it, and then you will have the images that you need. Okay, so now I have all of my little images. So maybe you have kids or grandkids that like to color. You could create a blank card for them to color, and they would have fun. But if you like coloring, like me, then you can take your little images and color them yourself. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna take one of these and I'm going to I have a whole bunch of different Stampin' ones here. And one of the things I noticed when I saw people using this particular, I don't know where I can put this so we can see this. I don't know if you can see here with the bells. These are basically little stained glass images. And so it looks really nice if you use a lighter and a darker when you're doing these to kind of give some contrast. So that's what I'm trying to do with these images. So I'm going to start off, what color is this? This is light wild wheat. Okay, I have to figure out a way. I'm going to put these over here. I have to figure out a way to corral things so I have room to color. Is this all the way down? Okay, now it is. Okay, so we're going to just start off by coloring with the light wild wheat, and we're going to kind of randomly do some of these little pieces of the bell. And it was randomly. Now I'm copying exactly what I did before, and you can copy mine if you like my coloring choices, and if not, choose your own. But I really liked the way that I saw someone doing this as if it was stained glass and kind of alternating everything. And I'm going to take now, this is Daffodil Delight Dark. And I'm going to come in now and do all the additional white spaces in the daffodil. So we've got some contrast here. Okay. And then I have my wild wheat dark, and I'm going to do that little piece, that little ding-a-ling in the bell. And I'm going to have a red bow. I'll start off with my light real red. And I'm just going to, there's not as much contrast with my light real red and my dark, but you know, you just want to do a few that are lighter and then a few that are darker to kind of give it that stained glass look. All right, so that's image number one, the little bells. Okay, I'm going to put that on our card. And then we're going to do the little bluebird. You know, I made some color choices. Bluebirds usually have kind of more of a rust colored chest, but I decided, let's go ahead and do this right now. I decided that doing red would look really nice with all of the images, because all of the images have a bit of red in them. So by adding a little bit of red instead of rust, it kind of blends everything together, and it gives it definitely the feel of a Christmas card. So now we're going to come in with As Your Afternoon, and we do have a blueberry as well as a color, but I like Azure for this bluebird because it's a little bit lighter, and lighter is brighter in my mind, so I just wanted to do a little bit brighter. Then we'll do those alternating in the dark As Your Afternoon. Okay, so now we're going to come in with green and some brown. So we're going to take the dark Granny Apple green, and we'll do some of these leaves in the dark, and then we'll do some of the leaves in the light, just for a little contrast. And then we're going to do the branch, has some light and some dark. Okay. And if you want, you could color in the beak with a red blends, but I'm just going to leave it blank for now. And then let's do our little gingerbread house. And for that, we're going to need red again. And for this, I'm just going to alternate anything that looks like a candy cane. I'm going to alternate it in red and white stripes, that's kind of looks very festive. And then here along the edges, these look like those candy cane sticks. I have to tell you, last year when we went up to Canada for Christmas, I bought a whole bunch of gingerbread houses, pre-made ones, from Target, and Nicholas's girlfriend and Nicholas and my husband and I, we all decorated a gingerbread house, and Caroline, Nick's girlfriend, had so much fun decorating her gingerbread house. So I want to go and grab some. This is Granny Apple green, by the way. I want to go see if I can find some gingerbread houses for this year so that we can do that again, because they both had so much fun decorating. Okay, this is Crumb Cake Dark, and I'm going to use that for the flat sides of this house. And I'm not going to alternate here. I've done alternating in the past, but for this I have just decided not to alternate because there is so much going on here that I just want to kind of keep it a little simpler. And then I'm also going to come here and do the sides of the house, and I noticed I forgot to do a bit of the back. The house with red, I'll have to remedy that. Okay, so now we're going to come in with the light pecan pie, and I'm going to do the door, and I'm going to do shingles, and I'm just going to kind of alternate the shingles because I'm going to do some in the dark and some in the light. So I'm just going to pick some to do in dark and then some light. And And this is Pecan Pie Dark. So now everything that didn't get colored in terms of shingles will get colored in with the dark. So there'll be just the teeniest bit of contrast with those shingles. They won't all look the same shade. Okay. And right down here at the bottom of this roof line, I want it to come in and just do crumb cake as well. And then I forgot to do this back one with some stripes. There we go. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to do the window, which I didn't do on my original card. Let's do that one in yellow to kind of make it look like it's shining a light through there. So there is that one. And we'll put that one down here. And then let's put all of these away. And for these leaves, the contrast on these leaves would be very, very small. So I'm going to just do them all in the dark granny apple green because I don't have the patience to do little tiny detail like that. It's too much. So, and it's small. So I'm just going to go ahead. You could maybe alternate doing one leaf in dark and one leaf in light if you wanted to. But I'm just going to do the easy button and just keep going and do them all in green, in the dark granny apple green. Okay. And then we'll do little real red berries. I think this is, oh, this is the dark real red. I was going to say I was doing it in light, but I lied. This is the real red dark. It doesn't really matter. Either one will work. Okay. So now we have all our little pieces for our card front. So what I like to do now, before I glue everything onto the card, oh, and I have one more step to do too, to these little squares. But before I glue everything down and stamp the greeting, I like to stamp the greeting when things aren't glued down yet, just in case I make a mistake. Then it's easier for me to do something to fix that rather than having to go back in and glue everything back down again. So I'm going to use Garden Green, and I'm using that Celebrate from the Happy Little Things, and there's an outline and a filler. So I'm going to grab the outline first. Oh, and I think I forgot to bring scrap paper over here, but that's okay. I will make some scrap paper. Okay, and then I'm going to just scoot this down a little bit so it's closer to me. I'm going to stamp Celebrate a little closer to the right side than the left side. Okay. And okay, say you're not good at stamping straight, or say you're not, your hand's shaky. So what I would do then is maybe create a little banner layer or a separate little layer, just like a layer that you would use for each of these. I would make it probably 4 inches across by maybe 3/4 of an inch. And I would create a separate layer for this. And that way, if you made a mistake, you could just redo it and not have to redo a whole card base or cover it up. So I would just create a separate layer for my greeting. Okay, so I need a little bit of scrap paper. Thankfully, I have my bin of scraps here. I'm gonna try and find one that's about the same size as what I'm stamping off. So the second time I stamp, I'm gonna ink up my bold stamp, and then I'm gonna stamp it off, and then I'm gonna stamp it on to kind of create the look like it's a little lighter. So I'm using Garden Green again, and I am getting it nice and inky. I'm going to stamp it off. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to line up. You kind of have to go way up high and then stamp down. Okay. And lift off. There, isn't that wonderful? I love that. Okay, before you put your garden green, see, it could be really bright and brilliant like that too, but I like the outline look because I am also going to do a little thing. Notice how my little guys have little edges, because if I just glued everything on here like this, you wouldn't be able to tell that I have separate layers. So I'm going to take each of these and I'm going to dip them just slightly onto my ink pad and edge them. Okay, so there's number one. So you can kind of see there's a little bit of edge. So I won't put them directly back onto my card base because there might be some fibers that don't dry as fast as the other ones. And I wanna, and you can make this thicker or thinner, just depending on your mood. This is actually kind of fun to do. There's another one. And then we'll do this one. This has the advantage that they all will fit on the size of the ink pad that I have. If it was a bigger layer, I'd have to move it around a bit, and then that becomes a little trickier. But this one fits on nicely. If you have a little bit of a longer piece, then go on a diagonal, because the diagonal will be longer than the rectangle. See how fun that is? It's fun. It's fun. You can layer your layers with cardstock, or you can layer your layers with ink. It's not really layering, but it's like giving it like a frame, an edge. And that's basically what layers do, right? Is that they frame out everything. So this is just a very simple thing. And this is actually a lot of fun to do because you don't have to cut. There's no extra gluing to add this little edge, little frame on there. And when you're happy with how those look, then you just make sure you put your ink pad away. Make sure you don't have ink on your fingers. And then we'll take the first two and we'll just kind of get an idea, where do I want these so they look good? Okay, that looks good. And okay, see, I have a little bit of green smudging there, so you might want to wait for yours to dry just a little bit more, because I did, you know, dip these into the ink. So yes, and now I might have green fingers. So learn from me and let your little pieces dry just a teeny tiny bit longer than I did. You could hit them with your heat tool too, but really I don't think it's going to need that long, just maybe a minute rather than a little bit longer than what I did. Okay, I'm going to add this layer. See how nice that looks? It just adds that little tiny bit of an edge, and that way those layers actually look like layers instead of just, you know, like they were stamped on the card. Okay, so with this one, I'm just gonna look at how far I came in from the top and the side, and I'm gonna mimic that edging. Because basically it's just the width that is reversed on these. Like this width is the same as this width, and this width is the same as that width. So you're not dealing with different measurements if you follow my measurements. Okay, and then we'll just stick this on here. Doesn't that look cute? I kind of like this card. It's very different than what I usually do, so that kind of makes me happy. It's a little different. Casing Tuesday really does force me to stamp a little differently, and I like that. Like, we shouldn't stagnate. We shouldn't always create the same cards. You know, I think sometimes I can sometimes tell a certain designer's cards just by how they stamp. When I see their images, I'm like, that could be a card from this designer. And I think with me, sometimes you're like, you have no idea, because Brenda keeps playing around with everything. Okay, I just tied a bow earlier, and I didn't even tell you what I was doing. I was just talking and telling you a story. This is the Natural Tones linen thread, and it's got garden green, night of navy, and I think that is copper clay down here. It's like a rusty brown color. I took the garden green one and I tied a nice little double bow here, and I'm adding that to my Celebrate. So that's the reason why I stamped my Celebrate closer to the right side, so I have a little extra room over here on the left for my bow. So that is what I did. Then I thought, do I want to put any embellishments on here at all? And I didn't, because it's got so much nice stuff, and I just couldn't figure out what embellishment I would use to put on this card that would make all the images look nice, because they just all looked kind of good. I was happy with the way it turned out, and I didn't want to continue. But I didn't last night. I didn't add an inside, so I thought today, since we still have a little time, I would do a little inside. So I just took a piece. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I think one of my favorite images is this little bird. And I think we're gonna pull out Peace and Joy, because that's very important to me, peace and joy. And look, I have used this separately in the past, so I need to patch that back together. I'll do that in a second. So we're going to stamp the little bird down here at the bottom. This is a very typical thing. I know probably you've done this a ton of times. Just taken a little image and stamped it in the corner, or you can stamp it in the center too. And then, okay, I don't have another block. So what I'm going to do, this is my scrap piece of paper. I'm just going to lay this down on here. And I have to patch my Peace and Joy together because I cut it apart at some point for another project. And now I need to patch them back together so that, okay, let's see how this looks stamped. You know, that's the exact same distance as there was before, but the piece and end look far apart. But that's okay. We're going to do this. We're just going to go with it. Oh, I'm inking over off on the side, so you can't see. So let's just do this and put that right there. Voila! Peace and joy. We all need that in our lives. Peace and joy. Okay, so let's bring this back in, and I want to color this again. I'm going to color it exactly the same way as I did before, because once I've got a pattern going, I like to keep my pattern. It makes my life easier, and I just copy exactly what I did before. If you don't like routine, then do whatever you want. Maybe you want a different color bird, and that's okay. Totally okay. I love bluebirds. They are so sweet. Their coloration, it's fun to see them. And then we'll do a little red. This is the dark. Put the dark up here. And then we'll do the light. And now after I get off this video, I'm going to have to do a second one of these for my second card, because I know later on I'm going to be upset with myself that I didn't finish off the insides of both cards, because I'm pretty sure I will be using these later on when I send out Christmas cards. So, okay, and then this hair, one of my long hairs, is trying to cling to my table. I am pretty excited that I should be able to move over back into Studio One. If my hardwood guy comes today and finishes today, which he should be able to do since this is not a huge job, I should be able to move back into my studio maybe by Friday. We'll see. I'll be pretty busy. So the next thing, I have two things, the hardwood and then the window treatments have to come in. And once those two things are done, I can move back. We can move back into the bedroom. That's it. That's all there's left. So I'm very excited about that. Okay. So now we can take this. Isn't that sweet? Just down at the bottom. And let's move these stamps out of the way so I don't stick my card into them. And see, Stampin' Blends bleed through. So I could have stamped right on my card base, but if you're using Stampin' Blends, they will bleed through. So that's why the extra layer has to come into play. Oh, I'm kind of off here. There we go. Okay, let's see. Aw, that is just so sweet, isn't it? And I love that we have like very merry and celebrate and peace and joy. It's just a lot of little messages of happiness for the season. I love that so much. So there you go. Some different kind of card today. Oh, I did say that I was going to tell you another way you could accomplish this card if you did not like to color images. So the other thing you could do, which would be so easy, is take some designer series paper, 4 different patterns, and cut them 1.5 by 1.5, 2 1/4 by 1.5, 2 1/4 by 2 3/4, and then 1.5 by 2 3/4. Cut all 4 of those layers in different patterns, but coordinating patterns. So take one of our designer series paper packs, because they do all coordinate together. Cut 4 different patterns that you like and glue them down like this. Then for here, you're going to find a greeting that is long and skinny and put that in that area. And that would be your easy button. And then if I did paper, I would probably add a few embellishments and a bow, of course, because I would want to add a little bit more bling to this. This is a lot going on, so I felt like I could step away from the embellishments, but that's just a personal preference of mine. I'm not an overly blingy sort of person, so you can bling to your heart's content if you wanted to. But using designer series paper on here would create a beautiful card that wouldn't take very long, and it would still be awesome because our designer series paper is awesome. All right, I just thought I'd put that out there if some of you were scared of this week's challenge, because it is a lot. I forgot to tell you about my host code for the month. I usually do that at the beginning. This is a host code, and if you spend $50 with me using this host code while checking out, I will send you a stamp set for every $50 you spend. And these are retired stamp sets. I have, I started off with around 120 different stamp sets for you to choose from on a page. And of course, as time has gone on, some have been selected, but I've been keeping up with marking things off. If you see a stamp set that you want and you want to make sure to get it, just email me before you place your order and I can put it aside for you. I'd be happy to do that. Or you can do it after the fact, place your order and then pick it afterwards. Now, if you do not want a stamp set, and I get it, some people don't, I will send you, if you spend at least $50 with me this month, I will send you a surprise embellishment instead in December. So you have an option. So you don't have to necessarily have a stamp set, but this is the second time I've done this. And I think my customers love this because it's almost like celebration early, because often there are stamp sets during celebration. So you can choose some really nice stamp sets as a reward. It's a good month for me to do this. So definitely check it out. If you go to my blog, cubiesquest.com, here, I'll put the link up here, cubiesquest.com, /join is my starter kit page. So just put in cubiesquest.com and look for the host code menu item. If you click on that, there's the second paragraph near the bottom. Click here to see the stamp sets that are available. Just click on that link and it will take you to the page where I have all the stamp sets, so you can take a look at them and see what I'm offering. So that is the reward for this month for spending at least $50. And the stamp set reward is for every $50 you spend. If you choose the embellishment, it's just one embellishment per month. Okay, I'm gonna put this away. If you are new to my channel here, I would love it if you would subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you can get notified when I go live next. You can like my video. That also helps me out if you've enjoyed this. And you can leave me a comment down below or a question, and go back systematically and check my comments and see if there's anything that I can answer. Okay, well, let's say hello to all of you. Thank you for joining me this morning. I appreciate it. Oh, good morning, Deborah. And she's from Virginia. Good morning, Louise. Good morning, Kristen. She says she loves the postage stamp look. I do too, but I did not get that bundle. And then I just still have never gotten it. So I had to make my own little rectangles. Good morning, Marty from Pittsburgh. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Valerie. And she says, don't forget to give Brenda a thumbs up and wish her a happy birthday on Friday. Well, thank you, Valerie. And Valerie sent me a little package in the mail, and I asked her if I could wait till Friday to open it, because I want to have something to open on Friday, because if I open them up all week, then I won't have the joy of Friday morning, right? So I had this thought about when I was, sorry, I'm tearing up right now, because when I was little, my mom, she was so awesome because she knew we would be so excited for our birthdays. So she would wake us up in the morning and bring us into the living room, and she had this piece of wrapping paper with fringes cut into the ends, and she would lay that out, and she would have a few gifts for us. Like we weren't rich, we weren't poor, but we always had what we needed, and we always had a few little gifts that she would give us. And she would have a candle sitting out, and she'd sing happy birthday, and we could open up our gifts first thing in the morning. And I thought that was just so sweet and such a special memory, and I just thought of that. And maybe that's what I'm thinking of right now. It's like, I want something special on my birthday, and those cards, they're going to bring me joy. So anyway, sorry that I'm teary about that, but I just thought that's just such a fun thing. Maybe that's why I'm holding on to those cards. And now I don't even have a tissue here. So Studio 2 does not have tissues, so I shouldn't be crying. So that's very sad. Okay. moving along, let's not be sad. Okay. Hello, Mary from Indiana, and Betty. Oh, and she says she has that stamp set. Awesome. And Valerie says, plain and simple is always a classic. Very true. And Mary also has the stamp set. That's good. You know what? I'm going to run and get a tissue, and I'm going to go grab my little circle boxes that match this, because I want to show you the circle boxes one more time, and I apologize. I'll be right back. You would think as a crafter that I would have like tissues or something to dry up inky fingers or something on hand, but I just never put one in Studio 2. So I want to show you, look at this little bird. This is one of the boxes I made, and that's where I cut the stamp and its piece. So there's the little box, and it is so cute. And I love that little ring I put around it. And if you go back and watch the video, I tell you how to get that little ring. This is done with circle punches. Look at this little angel. I didn't use the angel today, but isn't that sweet? And I also did this one here with the gingerbread house. So aren't those cute? Like, this is a very sweet stamp set that came out last year. And I was up in Canada when it came out, and I didn't get a chance to use it last year. So I just want to make sure that my customers see it, because not everyone may have seen this because I didn't use it last year. So that little circle box, it's actually, I love the way I designed it. Whoops. Because it's got kind of, it's a completely circular box on one side, and then it's got these little lines, and that's what helps it stick together. It's such a sweet little box. You can put candy in it, a small gift. Okay, moving right along. Hello, Veronica. And Veronica's joining us over on Facebook, because I go live in 2 places at the same time. So Veronica, if you're wondering why I'm talking to all of these people that you can't see, it's because I'm also seeing a live feed from YouTube, so that accounts for that. So sorry if you're, I have more followers over on YouTube than I do on Facebook, but I stream to both of them. Another reason I prefer YouTube over Facebook is because for whatever reason, my live streams don't always work going over to Facebook. Some days I'm not doing anything different at all. When I schedule my live, it just does not connect to Facebook, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's just being temperamental with Facebook, and I don't know why. And I don't change anything the next time, and then it works. So maybe it's how busy it is when I start my live, or I schedule it, and I don't know why, but who knows why. Betty says, happy birthday. Kristen said, who knew that wild wheat and daffodil delight would look so good together? It looks good on the bow. Yeah, thank you, Kristen. I thought, wild wheat really is a kind of a golden color. And so when you put them together, it provides just a little bit of contrast. It kind of looks like, the light is hitting the bell at different angles. So, Sue says she has such a hard time lining up the 2-step stamps, especially if stamps are small. Yeah, they can be tricky. It helps to have a stamping tool where you can line things up on there, especially if you're doing a lot of them, so that you can, like a MISTI, so that you can line them up when you're doing that. If you have trouble with this particular one, what I would do, and see, mine is a little bit offset on the one side, which looks absolutely fine. It looks intentional. What I would do is maybe just not do the two-step on this one, just do you could do the outline and color it in with markers, or you could just do the bold part and not even worry about the outline, because the outline is just a tiny bit of detail. I do like the outline on this one though, because my little rectangles are outlined as well. So it kind of, I don't know, in the end it looked kind of good to have the outline on the Celebrate, because there's a little outline on each of my little images. All right. Kristen likes the idea of to ink the edges. The panels stand out that way if one didn't want to layer with a solid cardstock. Very true. Deborah says good morning from the US, and she loves my projects for this holiday season. Thank you so much, Deborah. Marty says the edging is a cool trick. I used to use a gold leafing pen. I wish we had something gold in the Stampin' Up! Arsenal. I totally would have done gold too. I love gold edging. I think that's so much fun. And she used to use that gold pen to edge the sides of her cardstock in gold. Yeah, I love gold edging. You can do it dipping in Versamark and then dipping in gold embossing powder. You could do something like that, but that seemed like too much work to me. That's what Sue does. Exactly that. That's what we used to do, dip the edges and do gold, but not on this card. It was just too much. And I also wanted a little bit of a darker look. Ellie says good morning from gorgeous Connecticut, and she likes the idea of the gold leafing pen. We don't have one right now with Stampin' Up, so I just make do with what I have, right? Kristen says Studio 1 and Studio 2 sounds so fancy. It does, but it's actually really annoying to have a second studio because I have to constantly bring things back and forth. But I wasn't sure if I would have work done at the same time as one of my lives again. And if the hardwood guys had arrived at 9 a.m. and were banging above my studio while doing this live, I just couldn't justify moving. Now, if I had moved back, surely they would be banging over my head this morning. Now that I'm over here, they're not here yet. So that's just the way of the world, right? But yeah, Studio 2 is very, very sad because it's actually our family room, and I've just got two small tables in a corner and one studio light and my camera, and it's not ideal, but you know what? I'm making it work for now because we did have a lot of work going on, and that work happened to be right above my studio. So but yeah, it does sound kind of fancy, and that's why I named it like that. It makes me sound like I've got a whole production team going on instead of just me, right? Marty says she had bluebirds when she lived in the country. They're so beautiful, and she hasn't seen any since she moved to the city. Yeah, I think they like a little bit of little nature, but maybe if you had feeders up, they might come. They might be about, and you just might not be seeing them. Beverly says, thank you so much for showing us the set. I haven't seen anyone use the set, so I didn't know how to color it. Love this. Thanks so much. Beverly, I want you to, after this, go on Google and type in Stampin' Up So Very Merry Cards. Stampin' Up So Very Merry Cards. And have a look, because last night I actually wanted to see how different people color different things too. So it's not really cheating in my opinion. Like if I had to figure out how to color it myself, I would have. But it's an easy button. Go see how other people color things. So I did a Google search last night, and I had a look. Particularly the hardest one for me was the gingerbread house, because there's so many little details on there. Like, how do you do that? In the end, I kind of did it like my original one, but I went with less contrast, with less white, because there were so many other images on there. Anytime you put too much, leave too much white, it's going to draw your eye to it. So I kind of wanted to have all of those images be a little equal. But yeah, do a Google search. That will help you out a lot. Ellie says, such a clever such a clever card. Love it. Marty's giving you some tips, Beverly. Good morning, Ruth. Oh, my flooring guy's here. I'm going to finish up real quick. Good morning, Sue. And she says, my memories will live in my heart forever. And Valerie says, those are happy and precious memories. They were. Sue says she made 50 of those round boxes. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's a bunch of people saying happy birthday. I'm going to have to sign off because my hardwood guy is here. I will talk to you all on Friday, which is my birthday, and I will have probably a 3-day video for you on Friday. So I hope to see you all then. Have a good week, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.